Has the WNBA just walked straight into a civil rights scandal? The Wall Street Journal. Yes. That Wall Street Journal says the league's treatment of Caitlin Clark might not just be bad optics. It could be illegal if the allegations hold up. We're not talking about a few fines or suspensions. We're talking federal investigations, lawsuits, and a league's reputation hanging by a thread. WSJ's Sean McLean just dropped a bombshell, saying out loud what fans have suspected for months. Caitlin Clark is being targeted in a way that could violate federal civil rights law. We're talking potential Civil Rights Act violations, a hostile work environment, and league leadership looking the other way. And if this explodes, the DOJ, Congress, and even antitrust regulators could be next in line to act.
It doesn't stop there, because before I read you some quotes, I want to also read you why I'm saying this to you. Remember when I brought up the 2024 U.S. Olympic roster, how she was left off of that, and how stupid that was for Team USA women's basketball to leave her off? Remember I said that? They said this is where they're going now. Ms. Clark's targeting may reflect a culture of disparate treatment, and the evidence provides reasonable cause for a federal probe into potential civil rights violations. Am I making it up now? Remember I said this months ago. Remember I talked about people being jealous, the Cheryl Swoops of the world and others. Remember I pointed that stuff out? Remember I talked about the rough housing? Remember I talked about all of that? Let me read further. If the WNBA continues to allow this treatment of Caitlin Clark, you really think?
So you said the federal government should get involved with this because Ms. Clark's civil rights are being violated as she is targeted on the court, the basketball court, and no one's protecting her. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. I know a lot of people say it's sports, that, we should expect hard fouls, and I agree with that. I'm a sports fan. I like seeing competitive play.
Caitlin Clark's civil rights being broken. Now, a lot of people have been campaigning to reach out to the Justice Department here in our country to possibly look into this, man. I've been one saying that I definitely believe her civil rights has been broken. She has been simply assaulted damn near every time she's been on the court. There has been a clear agenda against this young lady.
Peaceful workplace, a non-hostile work environment, are those rights being violated by the WNBA? And at the very least, there's a portion of this that says, because Cathy Engelbert and Adam Silver, it seems to be nothing to see here. Please move along. We're watching in front of our very eyes how differently these teams are treating the Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark on the court. 66%. Engagement on app, 613%. Merchandise sales, 601%. We've got an opinion commentary piece from the Wall Street Journal. Now, keep in mind, the Wall Street Journal has a readership of people that consume the Wall Street Journal across all political lines, okay? And the Wall Street Journal in this article is calling, or at least saying out loud, that maybe Caitlin Clark's civil rights are actually being violated. Everybody's bragging about this 5-game winning streak. It is great. But Caitlin Clark doesn't get to play under these circumstances, where these girls are just going out there and playing basketball. That doesn't get to happen for her.
The numbers don't just hint at Caitlin Clark's impact, they confirm it. She's more than a rising star. Many compare her influence on the WNBA to what Michael Jordan once did for the NBA. TV viewership is up 366%. App engagement has soared 613%. Merchandise sales have jumped 601%. These aren't just stats, they're the reason the league is gaining mainstream attention, largely because of Clark. So why does it feel like the WNBA sees her as a problem instead of its biggest asset? This is no longer just about how she's treated during games, it's about legal precedent, civil rights law, and a growing trail of evidence that could trigger federal investigation. The Wall Street Journal broke it down using real case law. In the 1981 Texas Department of Community Affairs v. Burdine case, the court ruled that if an employee can show proof of unequal treatment, the burden shifts to the employer to prove. There was no discrimination, no need to show intent or uncover hidden motives, just evidence of different treatment. This means the WNBA could be forced to defend itself, not the other way around. And with public remarks from Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson, Who said Clark didn't deserve Times Athlete of the Year on her own? The optics and the risk look even worse. Legally, that's the kind of quote that can end up as Exhibit A in a courtroom. Even legendary broadcaster Dick Vitale called it what it was: pure jealousy. And in the eyes of the law, jealousy mixed with power can look a lot like hostility. Then came the Olympic snub. Clark was the most talked about and commercially valuable player in the sport, yet she was left off the U.S. roster. Think about the signal that sends. Add that to the constant physical targeting, the lack of league protection, and dismissive remarks from leadership, and it stops looking like bad luck. It starts looking like retaliation. That's exactly how lawyers frame discrimination cases. Not as single moments, but as patterns of exclusion. And now, the issue is moving beyond the court and into Congress. Senator Jim Banks has sent a formal letter to WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, demanding answers about Clark's treatment. When lawmakers start pulling your league under the spotlight, it's no longer just a PR headache. It's the rumble before a political earthquake. The article even hints that congressional hearings could be next. Picture Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, maybe even Adam Silver, testifying in public about why the league's brightest star is being treated like a punching bag. Let's be honest, that would break the internet, but for the WNBA, it's the last kind of attention they want. And it goes deeper. If the Labor Department steps in, this moves into workplace safety territory, federal jurisdiction. If investigators find the WNBA knowingly ignored Clark's health and safety, this stops being a sports controversy and turns into a federal violation. Then there's the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. If they open a probe into systemic discrimination, it's game over. These are the people who take down corrupt institutions, and they don't care about TV schedules or sponsorship deals. Their focus is rights, safety, and accountability. The Wall Street Journal also raised what could be the league's biggest threat: its antitrust exemption. Pro leagues like the WNBA operate with special legal protections that let them function like monopolies. If Congress decides the WNBA abused that privilege, they can strip it away. That would shake the very foundation of women's basketball in America. Losing antitrust protection wouldn't just hurt, it could dismantle the league's entire structure and even lead to collapse. And there's one more thing strengthening the case against the league. Since Clark's been out with injuries, the Indiana Fever have been winning, and the game's physicality has dropped noticeably. That's not speculation, it's clear evidence. When she's off the court, the elbows stop, the flagrant fouls disappear, and the game returns to normal. So why does the violence spike only when she's playing? The Wall Street Journal put it in plain legal terms: selective enforcement. Civil rights lawyers know exactly how to spot it. And in this case, the evidence is piling up. Clear video, public comments, injury records, and most telling, 0 suspensions for players behind some of the league's worst hits in years. Take the Marina Mabrey hit. That wasn't defense, it was a blind side shot. Anywhere outside a basketball arena, it might have been a criminal assault. Or DJ Carrington's play last season, so reckless it looked like Clark was one flagrant foul away from ending her career. That's not drama, that's medical reality. So how many more times does Caitlin Clark have to take hits like that before the WNBA admits there's a problem? This isn't coming from a rumor site, it's from the Wall Street Journal, one of the most respected voices in business journalism. When they start raising civil rights concerns in women's basketball, the story moves far beyond sports. And the numbers speak for themselves. When Clark plays, ratings spike. When she's out, they dip. Merchandise sales are up over 600%. App engagement is booming. TV viewership is through the roof. That's new revenue the league never saw before she arrived. Any smart business would protect a star like that as their top asset. Instead, the WNBA has stayed silent while she's been targeted, fouled, and eventually sidelined. Now the stakes are getting serious. The Wall Street Journal is urging federal agencies to dig into the WNBA's internal communications, emails, memos, even text messages. If investigators find even one message suggesting Clark should be managed or her value downplayed, that could be the smoking gun. In federal cases, one slip is often all it takes to open the floodgates. We've seen it happen before in Title IX disputes, college sports scandals, and major corporate lawsuits. If the WNBA is found to have crossed civil rights lines, this won't end with a fine. It could bring a legal hammer down on the league. Hanging over it all is the biggest threat: the antitrust exemption. Professional leagues like the WNBA get special legal protections that let them operate like monopolies. But that privilege depends on public trust and political goodwill, and both can vanish overnight. If Congress decides the league isn't living up to the responsibilities that come with those protections, they can take them away. And with Caitlin Clark's popularity cutting across party lines, this could turn into one of the rare bipartisan issues in Washington. Could the WNBA survive without its antitrust shield? Not likely. Losing it would force the league to compete under the same rules as any other business, tearing apart the foundation it has relied on for decades. And here's the thing. We're not guessing. We can see it happening right now. When Clark isn't playing, the aggression stops. When Clark isn't on the court, the hard fouls disappear. Games go back to normal. That's not chance. That's evidence, caught on camera. Civil rights attorneys dream of proof like that. The Marina Mabrey hit wasn't competitive play. It crossed into something far more dangerous. No suspension followed. The Dejanai Carrington foul came inches from ending Clark's career. How many more of these incidents will it take before someone steps in? This isn't a sports debate anymore. It's not about rookie hazing or physical play. It's a civil rights issue, a workplace safety crisis, and possibly a federal case. The Wall Street Journal has shifted the Caitlin Clark story from a sports controversy to a looming legal disaster for the WNBA. And they're right. When federal agencies, Congress, and national media all start raising the same red flags, it's no longer speculation. It's a countdown. And for the WNBA, the clock is ticking fast. This isn't just about one league. It could change how professional athletes are protected nationwide. Will Caitlin Clark finally get the protection she deserves? Will the league be forced to answer for its actions? Or will it all play out in court? If you think this story needs more attention, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more investigations, hard truths, and stories the mainstream ignores. This is only the beginning.